In the final autumn of 1918, the Great War raged on across the shattered landscape of France. The air was heavy with smoke, the ground soaked in blood, and the men, exhausted beyond imagination, clung to the faint hope that the end was near. It was the Meuse-Argonne Offensive, the largest operation ever launched by the American Expeditionary Forces in World War I. More than 1.2 million soldiers took part. Among them was the 77th Division, composed mostly of young men from New York, office workers, bakers, shop clerks, and students turned soldiers overnight. Their orders were clear: advance through the Argonne Forest and break the German lines. But no one could have predicted what awaited them deep within those fog-covered woods. The Lost Battalion. On October 2nd, 1918, Major Charles William Whittlesey led nearly 550 men of the 308th Infantry Regiment into the dense forest. Their advance was swift, too swift. In the chaos of battle, communication lines broke down, flanking units stalled, and the battalion suddenly found itself completely isolated behind enemy lines. For the next several days, the soldiers were trapped in a narrow ravine. German forces surrounded them on all sides. Supplies were gone. No food, no water, no medical help. Worse still, they were being shelled by their own artillery, who believed the coordinates they had were accurate. The forest turned into a nightmare of explosions and screams as men were cut down by friendly fire. Panic began to rise. Every attempt to send a runner through enemy lines ended the same way: silence. The men were losing hope. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the stench of blood and wet earth. Major Whittlesey, exhausted but unbroken, looked for one last chance: their homing pigeons. Cher Ami takes flight. Inside a small wicker basket were a few pigeons, trained messengers, each carrying the last hope of hundreds of men. The first pigeon sent was shot down instantly. The second never returned. Only one remained, a small blue check hen pigeon with a faint mark on her wing. Her name was Cher Ami, meaning dear friend in French. Major Whittlesey tore a small slip of paper and scribbled a desperate plea. "We are along the road parallel to 276.4. Our artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it." He rolled the message tightly, placed it inside a tiny capsule, and tied it to Cher Ami's leg. Every man watched in silence, some praying, some crying, as Whittlesey whispered, "Godspeed, little friend." Then he released her into the smoke-filled air. As Cher Ami rose above the trees, German machine guns opened fire. Dozens of bullets tore through the air. Soldiers watched helplessly as feathers burst into the sky. She was hit in the breast, one eye blinded, and her right leg nearly torn off, but she refused to fall. Flapping frantically, she pushed forward, climbing higher, escaping the forest, and heading straight for the American lines, more than 25 miles away. The sky was filled with black clouds of artillery smoke. Rain began to fall, but Cher Ami kept flying, wounded, bleeding, and half-blind, covering the distance in just 25 minutes. At the command post, soldiers saw a small speck descending from the gray sky. It was Cher Ami. Her body was torn, her leg hanging only by a tendon, but the message capsule was still intact. The note that saved them. The note was rushed to the artillery command. When officers read the coordinates, a wave of shock and relief swept through the camp. Within minutes, the American barrage ceased. Rescue teams were dispatched immediately. By the time reinforcements reached the ravine, more than 300 men had been killed or captured, but 194 survivors remained, all saved because one wounded pigeon had not given up. A hero remembered. Cher Ami was treated by medics who managed to save her life. She was later taken back to the United States, where she was celebrated as a national hero. The French government awarded her the Croix de Guerre, one of France's highest military honors, for her courage and determination under fire. In 1919, despite all efforts to heal her wounds, Cher Ami succumbed to her injuries. Her body was preserved and displayed at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. To this day, visitors can still see her, the small bird who carried the hope of nearly 100 men on a single shattered wing. Legacy. Cher Ami's story is not merely about war. It is about loyalty, bravery, and sacrifice that transcends the boundaries of species. In an age when machines ruled the battlefield, a humble pigeon reminded the world of something deeply human, that courage can come from the unlikeliest of hearts. In the darkness of war, Cher Ami was a tiny light, fragile but unbreakable,